The meeting room felt like a prison as I sat across from Trev, watching him stamp denied across my promotion paperwork for the third straight year, the red ink seeping through the page like my shattered ambitions. "The delay itself is your punishment," he said, sliding my rejection letter toward me with manicured fingers, his voice dripping with that smug satisfaction he reserved for exerting power over others. "Perhaps next review cycle you'll remember your place," I wanted to scream. 3 years of watching junior colleagues soar past me on the corporate ladder while I remained anchored to my entry-level role, despite outperforming everyone in our division, my quarterly reports consistently showing top metrics, having secured the Henderson account, the largest industrial client in our region, on my own, my real crime questioning Trev, when I discovered altered safety inspection results that could have endangered lives at the Henderson manufacturing plant. "Your performance file speaks for itself." He tapped a thick manila envelope marked confidential with a red stripe, a file he never allowed anyone else to see, some things apparently not warranting advancement. "Kalia," the way he said my name made my skin crawl. I nodded quietly, gathering my papers with steady hands that betrayed none of the rage building inside me. "I understand. Thank you for the feedback." Walking back to my cubicle felt like the longest journey of my life, whispers following me, some sympathetic, most curious about how I'd failed again. And before I continue, I want to thank you for listening to my story. If you're enjoying it so far, hit that like button and subscribe to hear more. Your comments mean everything. I read every single one. Now back to how this all unfolded. My name is Kalia Winters. I graduated top of my class in industrial engineering and landed what I thought was my dream job at a prestigious safety compliance firm, methodical, detail-oriented, with a photographic memory for regulations and safety codes, traits that made me exceptional, but apparently threatening. Trouble started 4 years into my career when I was assigned to the Henderson manufacturing plant, producing critical components for transportation infrastructure, inspection reports directly impacting public safety. During my third inspection, I noticed discrepancies between my findings and Trev's final report. "These support beam stress test results have been altered," I told him privately. "The northeastern section doesn't meet minimum safety standards. We can't sign off on this." Travis leaned back, coldly studying me. "Henderson is our biggest client, Kalia. Do you know what happens if we delay their production schedule?" I countered. "I know what happens if a bridge collapses because we falsified safety reports." His expression hardened. "You misunderstood my corrections. Your inexperience led to testing errors. I fixed them. But my original readings clearly show." "That's enough." He slammed his palm on the desk. "I'm the senior inspector. My assessment stands." The next day, I arrived to find my desk reassigned to the corner of the office, my name erased from prime project assignments, and when promotion season came, Trev created the mysterious performance file that would haunt me for years. After that first rejection, I considered quitting. Most people would have, but something inside me refused to give him the satisfaction. So instead, I became indispensable, arriving early, staying late, and taking on the inspections nobody wanted, developing a reputation among clients for thoroughness and integrity, building relationships with staff across every department, redesigning our risk assessment protocols into a more efficient system that became the company standard, though Trev made sure my name appeared nowhere in the documentation. "How do you stay so positive?" my colleague Dina asked after my second promotion rejection, sitting with me in the break room, awkwardly avoiding mention of her own recent advancement. And I smiled, saying, "I believe in what I do. The work matters." Not telling her I was playing the long game, carefully building a foundation no one could ignore, and cultivating allies who recognized my true value, while collecting nothing that would be too obvious under Trev's watchful eye. "We simply can't lose you," Travis would say when I hinted at other opportunities. "But there's nothing I can do about advancement until your performance issues are addressed." And meanwhile, I volunteered for the Cross-Departmental Safety Committee, gaining visibility with executives I'd never meet otherwise, creating training materials that saved the company thousands in onboarding costs. becoming the quiet expert everyone consulted, yet no one ever championed me for promotion. The turning point came when our company merged with Northlake Industries, a larger firm with stricter governance, and their HR director, Zoe, began reviewing all personnel files as part of the transition. One evening, I was working late on an inspection report when she appeared at my desk, her suit impeccable, expression unreadable. "Kalia Winters?" she asked, checking my nameplate. "Yes, that's me. I'd like a moment of your time tomorrow, 9 a.m., my office." I barely slept that night, wondering if this merger would finally break my career stalemate or end it entirely. Zoe's office was minimalist, a desk, 2 chairs, and a wall of certifications, and as she gestured for me to sit, reviewing her tablet, she said, "I've noticed something unusual. Your performance metrics are exceptional, client satisfaction ratings in the top percentile. You single-handedly prevented a catastrophic failure at the West River Bridge project by identifying structural weaknesses others missed, yet your advancement has completely stalled." I remained composed, she added. "Your manager mentions performance issues documented in a special file," raising an eyebrow. "A special file?" I explained, "Yes, a sealed performance file only he has access to." She made a note. "That's not standard protocol anywhere I've worked," and hope flickered dangerously inside me. 7 days later, my phone rang with an unknown number. "Kalia, this is Zoe. I need to understand something." Her voice edged. "The Henderson project you flagged concerns about 3 years ago. Did you keep any of your original testing data?" My heart hammered. I followed protocol and submitted everything to my supervisor. "I see," she said after a pause. "I've reviewed your sealed file. It claims you're technically deficient and unreliable, yet every client assessment contradicts this." I felt dizzy, realizing this had been the justification for denying my promotion 3 years running. Then she asked, "One more question. The risk assessment protocol our company uses, the one that saved millions in prevention costs, who developed that?" I admitted, "I did," though official documents credited the department. The silence that followed spoke volumes. "Thank you, Kalia. That's all for now." The next morning, whispers spread through the office. An emergency board meeting had been called, tension crackling like electricity. And around noon, I spotted Travis storming through hallways, barking into his phone, his face flushed crimson. By mid-afternoon, security escorted his assistant carrying his personal items in a cardboard box. I sat frozen at my desk, unable to process what was happening. Was this finally the moment I'd been waiting for? Or would the system protect him again? As the office emptied, Greta, the board chairwoman, appeared at my cubicle, silver hair pulled into a tight bun, expression serious but not unkind. "Kalia, we'd like to discuss your future with the company. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., my office." I drove home in a daze, phone buzzing repeatedly with Travis's number flashing in desperation, which I silenced and set aside. Knowing whatever happened next, everything was about to change, and I barely slept that night. Each time I closed my eyes, I saw Travis's face, first smug as he denied my promotion, then panicked as he was escorted out. What had Zoe found? What would tomorrow bring? My alarm jarred me awake at 5:30 a.m., though I'd been staring at the ceiling since 4. I dressed carefully, a simple blue button-up and black pants, professional but understated. The drive to the office felt surreal, the morning sun casting everything in golden light that almost mocked me with its beauty. I arrived 30 minutes early, the building eerily quiet except for the cleaning crew, and used the time to organize my thoughts, reviewing a mental catalog of projects, accomplishments, and challenges from the past 3 years. Knowing if this meeting was what I suspected, I had to be ready. At precisely 8 a.m., I knocked on Greta's door. "Come in, Kalia." The boardroom was intimidating. A long table with 8 chairs, each occupied by senior leadership I rarely encountered. Zoe sat to Greta's right, a thick folder in front of her, my heart skipping when I spotted the red confidential stripe. "Please sit," Greta gestured to the single chair opposite them. I sat upright, hands folded in my lap to steady the trembling inside me. "Kalia, we've called you here because of irregularities discovered during our merger process." My mouth went dry. "I understand. I'll be direct," Zoe interjected, opening the folder. "We've discovered your supervisor, Trev, has been systematically suppressing your career advancement through falsified performance reports while taking credit for your innovations." The room spun slightly. Hearing it stated plainly after years of gaslighting was overwhelming. "But that's not all," Greta continued. "The Henderson manufacturing plant inspection, where you raised safety concerns, resulted in significant structural reinforcements after a secondary inspection, quietly ordered by the client based on your initial findings. Trev had approved the facility despite known safety risks." I swallowed hard. "I didn't know there was a secondary inspection." "No, you wouldn't have," said an older man at the end of the table. "I'm Philip, head of legal. Travis buried that report and created this special performance file on you the very next day." Zoe slid several papers toward me. "These are the original safety reports you submitted alongside Travis's altered versions. The differences are concerning." I stared at the papers. My handwriting contrasted with Trev's modifications. 3 years of doubt about my competence crumbled instantly. "We believe Trev was receiving kickbacks for expedited approvals," Greta said, voice tight with controlled anger. "When you threatened that arrangement, he retaliated by stalling your career." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't personal animosity, it was corruption. "What happens now?" I whispered. Greta exchanged glances before sliding a contract across the table. "We're creating a new division focused on safety protocol, innovation, and compliance oversight. We'd like you to head it, reporting directly to the executive team." I blinked, certain I'd misheard. "Head it with a team of 12 inspectors under you," Zoe added. "Your salary would triple immediately, with back pay for the promotions you should have received." My fingers trembled as I accepted the contract. "And Trev," Philip's expression hardened, "terminated for cause. We're also initiating an investigation into all his approved projects over the past 5 years." As the meeting concluded, Greta walked me to the door. "We failed you, Kalia. The system that should have protected you became a weapon against you. We're determined to make it right." I nodded, overwhelmed. "One more thing," she added quietly. "We know you had opportunities to leave, but chose to stay. May I ask why?" The question caught me off guard. Why had I stayed? Pride, stubbornness, a need to prove myself. "I believed the truth would eventually come to light," I said finally. "And I couldn't walk away knowing what I knew about the safety protocols." She studied me for a long moment. "That's exactly why you're the right person to lead this new division." As I walked back to my desk, colleagues stared openly. News travels fast in an office, and clearly something had shifted. Dina hurried over, eyes wide. "What's happening? People are saying Travis was fired, and you're getting promoted." I smiled, the expression feeling foreign after years of carefully controlled reactions. "Something like that." Before I could elaborate, my phone buzzed. Travis again, the 7th call since yesterday. This time I answered. "Kalia! Thank God!" His voice cracked with desperation. The audacity in his voice stole my breath as he pleaded, "There's been a terrible misunderstanding. I need you to tell them it's all a mistake." A mistake? After everything he'd done? He spoke as if corporate chaos simply needed a scapegoat, as if we'd always been partners. 3 years of bottled anger trembled beneath my calm tone as I asked, "Is that what you call blocking my promotion for 3 years?" He brushed it off as standard procedure, insisting my performance file, whether the falsified one or the real reports proving I outperformed everyone, didn't matter. His breathing grew uneven as he promised he could fix everything, that he'd secure my promotion once things settled, as if we'd been equals. "Goodbye, Travis," I said, ending the call, despite his pleas about his mortgage and family. For 2 weeks, I plunged into meetings, introductions, and training, settling into the vice president's former office with a view of the city and a team that finally saw my worth. Then came the Industry Safety Conference in Chicago, where I prepared to present new compliance protocols. Reviewing my slides in the hotel lobby, I heard a familiar voice, Trev, disheveled and far from his once immaculate self. He claimed he was consulting now and asked to join me. Curiosity made me nod. Sitting across from me, he offered a thin smile and accused me of playing the long game, building alliances, making myself indispensable, and striking at the perfect moment. I denied it, reminding him I simply did my job while he sabotaged me. He called my rise impressive, insisting he'd underestimated me, even claiming pride that I'd dismantled his career without direct confrontation. His twisted perception unsettled me. I reminded him he taught me nothing except how corrupt the system could be. His tone darkened as he warned that success creates enemies, and people would watch for me to fail. When I asked if it was a threat, he called it a friendly warning before walking off, leaving a cold weight in my chest. Back in my room, I called Zoe, confessing my fear that maybe I had stayed just to witness his downfall. She dismissed the idea, reminding me I stayed because of integrity, not revenge, and urging me not to let him twist my purpose. Her reassurance helped, but doubt clung to me. The next morning, preparing to deliver my conference presentation, I spotted Trev in the back row staring with unsettling intensity. My hands trembled. I started strong, but just as I introduced the new compliance framework, a woman in the third row raised her hand. These protocols look remarkably similar to what Travis presented at last year's regional summit, the woman said, and my heart stopped just as Travis stood in the back, loudly agreeing and claiming the protocols were his. Murmurs rippled through the room while I froze, feeling 3 years of work slipping from my hands again as he approached the stage with a folder he claimed held the originals, but something inside me snapped. Never again. And I faced him, calmly pointing out that the date stamps told a different story before switching to a slide I'd prepared. A complete timeline with screenshots, emails, and my handwritten drafts, proving I created the protocols 3 years ago while Trev stole credit and blocked my advancement. A truth now exposed, and the reason I led the new compliance division. Silence fell as his face drained of color, and I smiled at the audience, asking if there were any questions about the actual protocols before continuing smoothly to the end. Afterward, colleagues crowded me with congratulations while Trev slipped out a side door, shoulders bent. That evening, he sent a text. "This isn't over," and I saved it, knowing enough now to preserve evidence. Back at the office the next day, triumph and unease battled in me, and 3 days later Zoe entered my office with news that Western Regional was accusing our protocols of missing a structural weakness. That was impossible, and as I examined their report, I saw instantly the signature wasn't ours, the authentication wrong, and the listed client contact happened to be Trev's brother-in-law. Zoe asked if I thought Travis was behind it, and I knew he was. Pulling up our real report proved we'd flagged the issue weeks earlier. Zoe promised to handle the client, but warned me to be careful because Travis still had connections. The Western incident was only the beginning. 3 more clients soon reported falsified concerns, all easily disproven, and all linked to people Trev influenced, documents that mimicked our style, but missed key verification marks. Even inspection dates subtly altered. Philip warned me that Travis was desperate and dangerous, urging me to document everything and trust only my core team. So I tightened our verification process, personally reviewed every report, and worked late into the night under crushing pressure, knowing one real mistake could validate his entire sabotage campaign. Then came the Henderson request, my assistant placing it on my desk and explaining they wanted me personally for their annual safety inspection. Henderson, specifically me, not just the department, where it all began, where I first discovered Trev's altered safety reports, and where he first threatened my career, called for a quick turnaround next Tuesday, which immediately set off warning bells. Henderson never rushed inspections. Their insurance demanded thorough documentation. I instructed my team to pull every Henderson inspection record from the past 5 years and spent the weekend analyzing them, noting patterns, inconsistencies, and the gradual erosion of safety margins Trev had engineered to cut costs while pushing equipment dangerously close to failure thresholds. Tuesday arrived, knot of tension in my stomach, and I drove personally, arriving 30 minutes early to walk the perimeter of the massive industrial complex, trucks and workers moving with purpose. At the main entrance, I was greeted not by the safety coordinator I expected, but by Owen Henderson's operations director and Trev's former golf buddy. "Kalia, thank you for coming personally," he said, handshake firm, smile not reaching his eyes, insisting I start with the Eastern Production Wing, the same section where I'd first found altered safety reports. I explained that protocol required a full inspection with my entire team, but he waved me off, claiming it wasn't necessary. As the trap began to crystallize in my mind, I called Zoe quietly. "Travis is setting me up. I need backup and legal coverage." She responded immediately, instructing me not to enter the facility alone, and confirming our team and legal counsel would arrive within 20 minutes, suspecting coordination with Travis to discredit me. Returning to Owen, he tried to pressure me again, but I insisted on written confirmation that he was declining our standard protocol, buying time. While he stepped away, I noticed Travis's silver sedan pulling into the visitor lot, clearly waiting to spring whatever trap they'd prepared. My phone buzzed with Zoe's confirmation. "Team and legal arriving soon. Stall." Owen's tone shifted, accommodating, and I used the next 15 minutes to keep him talking in the lobby, extracting details about equipment changes and maintenance schedules. When my team arrived, 4 inspectors and our legal counsel, Owen's expression fell. "This seems excessive for a routine inspection," he protested, but Amamira, our lawyer, stepped forward, citing past discrepancies and enhanced verification protocols. The inspection proceeded meticulously, and in the Eastern Wing, we uncovered exactly what I suspected: equipment operating beyond safety tolerances, backdated maintenance records, and recent repairs showing signs of hasty completion, as if orchestrated for today. "Interesting timing on these repairs," I noted to the maintenance supervisor, who avoided my eyes. The maintenance supervisor avoided my eyes, mumbling about standard cycles even as yesterday's date appeared on fresh welding seals. As we completed the inspection, documenting every discrepancy with photos and sensor readings, I spotted Trev in a glass-walled conference room with Owen and 2 other Henderson executives. Their animated discussion froze when they noticed me watching. Back at the office, our team compiled Henderson's most comprehensive inspection report ever, documenting 23 safety violations requiring immediate action before operations could continue. "They won't like this," Amamira warned. "They don't have to like it. The violations are real and indisputable," I replied. The response was swift and furious. Henderson's CEO called Greta, claiming punitive measures motivated by vendettas, while Trev submitted a formal industry complaint alleging I fabricated violations to target his former client. For 3 tense days, our findings were scrutinized by the board, external consultants, and Henderson's safety team. The pressure was immense, my division's credibility and my career hanging in the balance. On Friday, Greta called me into her office, expression unreadable. "The independent review is complete," she said. I nodded, hands clasped tightly. All 23 violations were confirmed, and in fact, the inspectors found 4 additional issues we had missed. Relief washed over me. Henderson agreed to a full safety overhaul and terminated their relationship with Trev's consulting firm, claiming he had advised cosmetic fixes to pass inspections, and Trev's complaint against me was withdrawn that morning. Greta slid a folder across the desk. The review triggered an industry-wide audit of facilities Trev had inspected in the past 3 years, with 3 plants temporarily shut down for critical violations. Inside was a press release draft, naming me as project lead for establishing new industry safety standards. "This isn't just vindication, Kalia. This is revolution, she said. As I left, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Need to talk, it's Travis, please. I stared, recalling 3 years of humiliation and gaslighting. The old Kalia would have ignored him, but I wasn't that person anymore. I replied, Riverfront Park, 6 p.m. At the park, he sat slumped on a bench overlooking the water. Thank you for coming, he said, avoiding my gaze. I stayed standing. What do you want to explain? To apologize? He finally admitted, raising his eyes. I'm finished, Kalia. No firm will hire me after Henderson. The industry association is reviewing my certification. That's not my problem, I said. He begged for help, asking me to vouch that he cooperated. I studied the man who had tormented me, now reduced to desperation. In that moment, I held exactly what I had dreamed of. Trev at my mercy. Do you remember what you said 3 years ago when you denied my promotion? I asked. Recognition and fear dawned in his eyes. The delay itself is your punishment, he whispered. Yes, I said, sitting beside him. For 3 years I waited, doubting myself while colleagues advanced. Now, you face the consequences. I removed a folder identical to the confidential file he'd used against me, placing it between us. I've created a file on you, Trev. Every altered report, every approved violation, every kickback. The industry association already has a copy. Color drained from his face. You're destroying me, he stammered. No, I said, straightening my jacket. I'm ensuring justice. The delay itself is your punishment, but the consequences are yours. I walked away without looking back. 3 months later, our new safety standards were implemented industry-wide. My team grew to 30 inspectors, Henderson reopened under new management with our firm consulting, and Trev was last known working night security, his certification permanently revoked after evidence of kickbacks from 6 companies. Sometimes, walking past my glass-walled office, I think of that day in the park, not with regret, but with quiet satisfaction knowing justice, though delayed, eventually arrives. The file remains in my desk drawer, a reminder that power can corrupt but truth, even buried, will always surface. If you stayed until the end, thank you. Your support means everything. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories of standing against injustice, because sometimes winning isn't immediate. It's about the courage to endure.